G'day guys, welcome back again. So yesterday all we done was prep the gearbox and the engine and gearbox ready for when the parts arrived. They didn't arrive until this morning, so we're putting this clutch in today. Part number for this is a 2009 Holden Colorado. Unsure if it's the same for a D-Max, possibly, don't know. Rear main seal as well. And then this kit comes with the clutch alignment tool and a new, I think you call it, spigot bearing. And then you get your thrust bearing as well, so all the goodies. All I'm going to do now is get up underneath the car, focus on getting this rear main out. I'm going to put a drain tray under there just in case, because I'm not sure if the rear main will leak oil when I pull the seal. If it does, I'll just have to drain the oil. So yeah. Alright, this is another scenario that's new to me. This is a two-part seal. So as you can see, you've got an inner sleeve and then your normal lip seal there as well. I'm assuming they do this because you can wear a groove in your crank just from the rear main sitting on it. So this sort of style here, put it into place, and then every time you put a new seal on, you have a new running surface for it to sit on. Now, might be a little hard to get off. I may have to just fold a lip up to get the inner sleeve off. So it is a cool design though, gives you longevity of your engine, don't have to worry about putting a speedy sleeve or anything on, because essentially that's what you do every time you put a new rear main on. So yeah, new to me though. I've only ever done speedy sleeves when there's a groove on the crank. Alright, so that was a very not delicate way of getting that seal off. It was actually quite difficult. I had to just try and slice it so that I could lever it off. But this being my first 3-litre engine that I've done before JJ1 or whatever, I wasn't sure what was behind there. I was worried that it was thrust plates on the crank or something, so I was being gentle. Obviously when you leave any rear main seal off, it's important to make sure that you haven't left any scoring or crank scratches on the crank itself, because if you do, you need to buff them out, otherwise it'll just end up leaking again through that. So I'm just going to do some research and find out if I'm supposed to put the seal into the engine first and then put this plate on, or if I'm supposed to put it into this and then onto the engine, because currently I'm not too sure. I'm leaning more towards installing the seal on the engine, putting that on afterwards, but I don't want to push the seal hard up against the main bearings. Alright, spigot bearing is in. It's time for the new seal. the spigot bearing in, rear main seal, and the adapter plate or cover plate, I don't know what you call it. Just going to prep this flywheel up. So it's important, give your flywheel a spray with some brake cleaner or something where the friction plate goes onto. You don't want any oil whatsoever on that flywheel, so make sure it's nice and clean. Alright, so flywheel's all done. So the torque sequence is 60 Newton meters. Sorry, so the torque sequence is 60 Newton meters, and you work your way around. So that's the first step. So you go 1, 2, work your way to this one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 60 Newton meters, and then it's plus 60 to 90 degrees. So I set my torque wrench to find out. I went bang on 75 degrees ish, and it worked out to be about 145 Newton meters. So yeah, if that helps you guys at all. But yeah, they're obviously a torque to yield bolt, so you should only reuse these once and then put new ones in. They didn't have any kicking around, so it is good practice as well to lube up the spline. This comes with some kit, but you just some high bearing, some high temp grease to be alright as well. Make sure you keep your greasy fingers off the friction plate, and I just want to put this on a few times just to make sure that we got some lube on all of these. So it is important, you can't really stuff it up because it says transmission side anyway, but just look on the flywheel if you're using Exceedy. Otherwise it's the stepped side with the splice facing towards the gearbox, like so, and flat side towards the engine. Alright, so clutch is installed, same as the flywheel, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, you just keep going opposites, and just do it bit by bit, don't go like send it home, just keep going around for a while, because you'll see the pressure plate, the diaphragm actually putting pressure on the clutch. So just do it nice and evenly until you get to the mounted surface. And then the torque for these bolts, I've used Loctite as well. It doesn't state Loctite, but I like using Loctite on internal parts. Sorry to people that pull this stuff apart afterwards if you don't like Loctite. But yeah, 18 Newton meters is the torque for this. Also rubber, if you're watching this, we need to do your rocker cover as it's leaking. So I'm going to go now and prep the clutch fork up. Alright, so that's the clutch fork on. Obviously remember, once again I'll show you this diagram, probably explains it a lot better than I will. The bow faces outwards towards the engine. And then you've got to lube up your pin, because if you don't it'll just seize in there and it's a prick to get out. And you have to pull this out, disconnect the fork to actually pull the gearbox out, so it's going to be your best friend. Especially if you're one of those guys trying to make 300 horsepower out of your bloody D-Max and then you go through clutches all the time. So that's your fork operation there. Alright, now the hard part. Let's try to get this. I'm hoping I can get it on, I borrowed my dad's transmission jack. So I'm hoping I can get it on this trans jack and still be low enough to get under the car, but I feel like I'm going to have to drag the gearbox under the car and then lift it onto this. See what happens. Alrighty, so I've just dragged the gearbox underneath. So I'm going to get it over towards the engine, get the ass up because I've got to get the transfer case to clear this again, and then I'm going to sit it on the trans jack, which is over there, because I can't do it until I can. You know, I can't do it yet, I don't think. See how we go. Joys of technology, because I've got no one here to help me. I'm going to set this GoPro up so that I can make sure this clutch is working. Alright, so that went very nicely. So just continue on with the bolting, and then I'll be doing all the cross members and drive shafts, putting oil in the gearbox, and then get this thing the hell out of my shed. Also, just had to pull this bracket out here this bolt out to put the bracket in for the fuel lines. So just make sure you do that yourselves. You don't want to leave any of this loose because it will crack over time and makes it weaker and it won't last as long, so always put your brackets back. Alright, everything went flat on me at once, GoPros, light, all that crap. So I kept persevering without you, so you've missed a couple of things. I got the top 2 bolts from inside here, as the same way I cracked them off, nice and easy. Bolted the gear stick in. You just got to make sure that the actual knob goes back in the gear selector, which is pretty easy. Put all this together, powered up the car again, and just checked all the functions of 4.2, 4 high and 4 low to make sure that I put that little electronic transfer case module on properly again. And then up underneath, I haven't really done too much else apart from I've just ran all the harness again. So harness is all plugged in, and yeah, tested the low range and tested the clutch again just to be sure. All the bell housing bolts are tight now, and now it's time to put the cross member in and the drive shafts. With the drive shafts, you'll have seen on the disassembly I paint penned where they go. I just like to line everything up how I took it off, just in case there's any issue with vibrations or something like that. So I just put it back on the same way it came off, makes my life easy. Alrighty guys, there you have it. That's the clutch job done. As I said to you, this took me 15 and a bit hours. Obviously a shop would do this in under 8. I took my sweet ass time. When I'm not sure of a job, I do slow things down to make sure they get it right. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I'll be getting back into my X-Trail build now, which I'll be ripping the head off. Had to pull that car out to do this clutch as an emergency job for my mate. So back into the head job. Catch us on the next one.